Okay, we'll call order the Newman City Council regular meeting March 2nd, 2003. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow our heads. Lord, thank you for allowing us to meet together this evening and guide us in our decisions we make tonight. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call, please.
Present.
Present.
Present. Item 5, declaration of conflicts of interest. No conflicts tonight. Item 6, ceremonial matters, proclamation of acknowledgement of Portuguese Immigration Week. I invited some people from the FDS, but I don't think they're here this evening. So whereas the city of Newman is fortunate to have many citizens of Portuguese descent who have contributed to growth and development of our community, and whereas these citizens have exhibited a great deal of pride and appreciation in their community, have always been willing to render their time and talent for the betterment of Newman, and whereas included among their contributions are the cultural and traditional aspects which have so freely shared, thereby enhancing our society and providing a basis for better understanding and cooperation among our citizens, and whereas the week of March 9th through March 15th, 2003 has been established by tradition as Portuguese Immigrant Week, and the city of Newman wishes to join its Portuguese citizenry in commemoration of this week. Therefore, I, John Fantasia, Mayor of the City of Newman, do hereby proclaim the week of March 9th through 15th, 2003 as Portuguese Immigrant Week in the City of Newman. Item 7, communications from staff.
Don't believe there's
No
anything
communications tonight.
Mayor.
Item 8, items from the public, non-agenda items. While the City Council welcomes and encourages participation in the meetings, it would be appreciated if you would limit your comments to 3 minutes so that everyone may be heard. Matters under the jurisdiction of the Council and not in the posted agenda may be addressed by the general public at this time. However, California law prohibits the Council from taking action on any matter which is not on the posted agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the City Council. Is there any non-agenda items tonight? Okay, items from the public, agenda items. Any member of the audience desiring to address the council on a matter on the agenda, please raise your hand or step to the podium at the time the item is announced by the mayor. In order that all interested parties have an opportunity to speak, any person addressing the council will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes unless the mayor grants a longer period of time. At that time, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Number 9, public hearings. Adopt resolution number 2003, next to number, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Newman approving the Community Development Block Grant Program, Income Reuse Plan, and adopting homebuyer assistance participation guidelines. And I'll open the public hearing.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the Council. Since 1992, the City of Newman's been awarded 6 community block grants amounting to $2.8 million. Of that, the City has expended $2.1 million in loans, administration, and program activity. While most of these loans are deferred, which means they do not have to be paid until either there's a change of title or an individual refinances the property, repayments have been coming in. Up to this point, they've been rather small, but this past year, because of interest rates, a lot of folks are refinancing, and people are selling and changing title to their home. We have had a great increase in our fund balance. What started out as $126,000 at the beginning of the fiscal year is now $292,000. HCDs requires that we're not allowed to hold more than $130,000 at year end in program income, which is the repayments of principal and interest. If it is by the beginning of the next fiscal year, we'll be forced to spend this money before we spend our grant CDBG money. That being the case, we might fail to meet our grant performance milestones because we're spending all that and we won't be able to do the work with the grant money. And the consequences may be a loss of the current grant as well as a negative impact on new grants that we will attempt to apply for in the future. So in order to use this program income, we have created a reuse plan. This has been in effect since the loan payments have been coming in, but we've expanded it. Currently, the program income, the money that's paid back on loans and principals, can be used in an open grant and just expand the size of the fund. Secondly, funds could be used as a grant in emergency items or to assist those individuals who don't quite meet the guidelines or have the criteria to get enough money from the grant to do additional work on the property. But today we're asking Council to expand these two uses to a third, which will include the inception of a new first-time home buyers assistant program. It'll help a person who hasn't been a homeowner in the last 5 years to receive up to $70,000 for a down payment. 67 of that is for the down payment. 3,000 will assist in the closing cost. This will be a loan. It still needs to meet the HCD requirements of affecting only a particular targeted income group, and they have to follow the guidelines as laid out by the Housing Participation Program, which you'll also be adopting tonight. The program that we have drawn up has been submitted to and reviewed by HCD. They have provided their approval, and so staff is just asking that we enlarge our reuse plan to include the first-time home buyers assistance program.
I think this is a great idea. Is there any questions for Margaret?
Margaret, just one, the down payment, what interest rate would that be?
It depends. It depends on the income of the family
Okay.
and on the home that is being purchased.
So it'd be.
We have to follow HCD's guidelines, and
Okay.
so it's a scale, and I don't have that before me.
Okay.
It's a scale of how much loan? Is
Yes.
that what it is?
Yeah.
An income level?
Income, yeah. If you're a $39,000 family of 4, annual income of $39,000, you could almost qualify for the entire amount if the home you're buying is $180,000. It's the same stipulations, it's the same loan process, and the same administrative process with this as it is with any CDBG grant.
Margaret, we had the first-time home buyer program in the past.
In the past, it started in 1998. We completed it in 2000.
Okay. And how many families did we help?
We loaned up to 14 loans. These weren't loans; these were grants
Right.
that we had done in 1998. 14 families were helped to a tune of like $24,000, and then there was $500-600 added to that for administrative fees. So it was almost $30,000 over a 2-year period.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you, Margaret. Is there any comments from the public, as this is a public hearing? Yeah, we'll close the public hearing and ask for direction.
I move that we adopt resolution 2003 next to number, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Newman approving the CDBG program income reuse plan and adopting homebuyer assistance participation guidelines.
Second that motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3 to 0. Number 10, consent calendar. Approval of warrants. Item B, approval of minutes of the February 25th, 2003 regular meeting. Item C, submission of state controllers city's financial transaction report. D, adopt resolution number 2003 next to number, a resolution rejecting a claim filed by Operating Engineers Local Union number 3 on behalf of the Newman Police Officers Association. Got some direction on the consent calendar?
I so move that the consent calendar be approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3 to 0. Item 11, under regular business. Review of services conducted by Precision Inspection Company.
Thank you, Mayor and fellow council members. In the past, the City Council has asked for an annual review of the services provided by Precision Inspection Company, who does building inspections and plan checks for the City of Newman, as well as doing some code enforcement activities. Thereby crafted a review based upon a previous report that was prepared for you by the city manager, as well as I looked through their contract, looked for services they were supposed to provide, And in doing that, I also went out and talked to the major builders in the area, or the 3 major builders in town, to see what their comments and that allow them to put some input into, because they're basically the real customers here. In review of what the major builders said, they all had high marks to say about precision inspection. Their inspectors they believe, are quality inspectors. They don't nitpick. That had been an issue that may have been brought up in the past with the previous inspector, who's no longer with the company. They like the current inspector. He's flexible with them. He meets it, and he is thorough, meaning he doesn't jump around, and they know what they're getting when they're getting an inspection. They like it because it also helps keep their subcontractors in line instead of trying to sneak things past. So it makes their job as quality control a lot easier. In the report that I presented to you, I went through basically the previous report, and there were some recommendations that were included within that report. The first topic that was discussed was communication. There had possibly been an issue about communication and a complaint about the city and Precision not having the communication between each other and not being able to go back and forth. One of the issues, or one of the items that the report indicated that they wanted a complaint form, Newman has Precision has brought up at a complaint form, and that was attached in your package there. They do provide those at the front counter, and there is a place there to check off to show that that has gone to City Hall for their review as well. The second item that was on there was talking about the preparation of a checklist for a series of questions that you can ask homeowners so that you can get enough information to tell them what kind of project or what kind of information they need to submit. That form doesn't exist, but it's very difficult to really pinpoint those questions. It's really an ongoing, it's like a flow chart. If yes, go here. If no, go here. And so I'm working with Precision staff on that, and I don't know that a checklist is the right answer for that, but we are working to come up with some kind of implementation process to make it more thorough. And then the third was prepare additional written brochures and handouts for description of different topics. Precision has done a bunch of brochures that talk about fence location, setbacks, and those are available at their counters as well. And then that new handout that I talked to you about would be very helpful as well. Inspection review was the second topic. I think most of that may have been the previous inspector or miscommunication or misunderstanding of what was going on there. And me talking with the builders out there, none of them had any problem with their inspectors. In fact, they don't really want that inspector to leave. So I've talked to Precision about that. If they're going to change inspectors, they will converse with the city beforehand. So inspection review, and what they're saying is they wanted supervisors to go through and follow up periodically just to check that the inspector is doing his job. But that inspector has several years of experience. The current inspector has several years of experience and is thorough. So it wouldn't hurt to have an inspector follow through, but I don't think it's necessary at this point. Management and supervision, they have their person in charge of the city of Newman has been actively involved with all city staff meetings. He does attend those staff meetings as well as another member of Precision staff, so he has been participating in that. There was an indication here that they should attend all staff meetings. He hasn't attended any, but there may be an issue, and then I didn't check with the city manager that maybe he was just told that he needed to just show up on nights that is pertinent information for a building
council
inspector.
meeting, you mean?
Correct. We haven't had any issues that really deal with the building or building issues that we would need an inspector on site to answer those technical questions. So,
But he's currently, though, he's on the architectural review committee.
he's also on the architectural review committee as well. So he
So
participates.
those particular issues with regards to building type of things, he's actually at those meetings.
Correct. He actually reviews the building planning commission as well as architectural review packages. He looks at both of those for me. He just hasn't been in attendance here, but once again, we haven't had any issues that would require him to be here. So with that, I think Precision is doing a professional job for us. With your permission, I'd like to start talking to them about their next contract. They only had a 1-year contract. If so indicated, we could explore the possibility of a 1 or 2-year contract, whatever this council so desires. So with that, I can entertain any of your questions. There are members from Precision here that can answer any of your questions as well.
Any questions for Mike?
No, I think it's a good report, Mike, and we appreciate you taking a hard look and coming up with this report, because we need to know where we're at, and you've told us exactly, I think, where we're at right now with Precision.
Right. And very thorough report, thank you. I noticed on one of the pages here with the communications where you talked about it was important for the process, though, not to become cumbersome and slow and everything. So, you know, at the same time, making sure that we continue having an efficient way of doing things.
Yes,
But
that's
I, for one, would certainly be interested in when you come back with us when you're negotiating something, at least looking beyond just a 1-year contract. I think coming back every year is, I think more than 1 year would be better for me, I think.
I concur with Charles.
Yeah, I would concur. I think that as long as we continue to have the reviews, but I think giving a more than 1-year contract makes a lot of sense.
So go ahead and work on that, and, you know, we can have yearly reviews or review every 6 months, whatever you feel, you know, you're the planner, so whatever you feel's right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Item 11B. Adopt resolution number 2003, a resolution establishing a fee for construction hydrant water use, meter rental, permit, and deposit. Margaret?
This item was brought to staff by the accounting assistant in the finance department, who noticed that there's been a tremendous increase in the use of the city's water meters, which measures the water usage at the fire hydrants. Contractors come, they borrow the meter, we read the meter when it's installed, when it's time to pull it, the meter's ready to get in, and the contractors billed for the usage. Currently, we only have 2 meters available, but there's at least 4 or 5 building sites going on that require meters. What has been done in the past is that staff, through what the information given to us by the contractors, estimates the water usage by the number of trucks the contractor said they filled with water. After reviewing this, we felt we need to have a more formalized and updated policy. Currently, we do charge a fire hydrant permit, that's $25. That will be retained. We also charge a deposit of $300 to cover the use of the water and also to ensure the upkeep of the meter. That'll stay the same. We'd like to institute a monthly meter rental fee. There's wear and tear and maintenance required on these meters, and if we charge a monthly maintenance fee, that will be able to fund such activities, as well as expanding our inventory, which is necessary at this point in time. Usage will either be based, hopefully all sites will eventually be getting a meter. We want the meters now to be checked on a monthly basis as opposed to the beginning and the end of a project. Minimum rate, which is 7,780 gallons at 41 cents, is $24.30. We want to charge a minimum of at least $24.30. That covers all the administration and billing costs that's required to go out and read the meter and send out the bills. If the usage is more than the 7,000 gallons, the people will be charged 41 cents for each 778 gallons. This fee is in the code, and it applies to anybody that uses water that has a 2-inch line. Now, in the situation where a meter cannot be provided, we would like to charge a monthly flat rate fee of $150. This figure came up by an analysis done by the accounting assistant that reviewed how many meters had gone out and the usage since 1999 to estimate how much has been used and how much the charge would have been had this policy been in place, and the average has been about $150 a month. We would prorate it on a weekly basis if the contractor didn't require a meter a month. What this would do would allow staff to monitor the meters to make sure they're kept up, make sure that if they're not being used, that they will be returned to the city so other contractors could use it, and thirdly, that it would provide a mechanism to make sure that everyone is paying their fair share for water usage, that it's monitored, and that the contractors will pay for what is used.
Margaret, if I remember right, I think I asked her, are these meters about $600? Is that what they are?
Yes, they are $700.
Okay. Any other questions for Margaret? Bob? If not, can I have some direction?
I move that we adopt resolution number 2003 next to number, a resolution establishing a fee for construction hydrant water use, meter rental, permit, and deposit.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Item 11C, adopt resolution number 2003, a resolution amending rules and regulations for the administration of merit personal assistant for the city of Newman.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Here before you to go back over our personnel rules. As you know, in August of 1999, we adopted by resolution the whole personnel package. So, to make any changes or additions to these personnel rules requires City Council action to approve those also. Our first, basically, is our substance use and rehabilitation policy. This was brought to our attention, this amendment that we are needing to have changed here by a recent audit by the State Department of Housing and Community Development. And these are required changes that we need to have. And they're also a requirement as reflected by the state government code. As you can see, basically, I think really it goes over the federal state laws as it's underlined, as presented to you for the manufacture, distribute, dispense, possess, or use controlled substances in the workplace. And it has some other outlines. And I'll be willing to answer any kind of questions regarding those changes. They are required by law, and we just want to make sure that we reflect that and stay within the audit. Secondly, the second one that we're looking at here is actually a new chapter 15 for discriminatory harassment, and also this would be in the workplace. Currently, I just had our policy manual for the police department done, and we have ours, a new one that's been redone by an attorney that specializes in police manuals and personnel management. And we were looking at what other departments had. They had these other policies in their manual, and we want to make sure that we had one that was consistently used throughout the city. So managers and employees would know what the policy is, there wouldn't be any changes, they know what the procedures are, and they'd all be the same. So we're looking at that change there to make everything consistent throughout the city. And I have the policy attached there, so if you have any kind of questions regarding that, I'd be more than happy to answer those also.
Questions for the chief?
No question.
No.
Direction?
Thank you.
I so move that we adopt resolution
Very
number
thorough. Thank you.
2003, next number, amending section 1201 of chapter 12, substance use and rehabilitation, and adding chapter 15, discriminatory harassment, to the city's personnel rules.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Question on the next item, Cleve. D&E, put that together on my, I got two different, on the, it's bunched D&E here, but it's put it to run those together?
Yeah.
Okay. Item 11 D&E, an ordinance and resolution of the City Council of the City of Newman authorize an amendment to the contract between the City Council of the City of Newman and the Board of Administration of the California Public Employees Retirement System.
All full-time city employees are covered by California Public Employees Retirement System. The safety, there are two separate groups, the safety and the miscellaneous. The safety group, which is primarily our police department, or the police officers, negotiated at the beginning of our 5-year contract to have their current 2% at 50, 2% at 50 policy raised to 3% at 50. Basically what that means is that when an officer retires at the age of 50, he will be getting, you multiply the number of years of service, and he will get that, the formula incorporates the years of service times 3% times his average salary for the past 3 years. This requires a contract between the City of Newman and the California PERS Board, and it requires a resolution as well, and an ordinance which reflects these changes. The impact that it's going to have for next year's budget analysis will be about $64,000 if the same number of employees and the same salaries stay fixed. When it was negotiated for, police officers have waived their 3.33% salary increase next year. We'll see what the impact of this will have in the future years.
Questions for Margaret?
No questions?
Thank you, Margaret. Direction?
I so move that an ordinance and resolution of the City Council of the City of Newman authorizing an amendment to the contract between the City Council of the City of Newman and the Board of Administration of the California Public Employees Retirement System.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. 11F, review proposals for lease of property at 1361 Highway 33 and make
Hold on.
recommendations regarding further pursuit of the lease.
Mayor, just 1 second.
Yes.
Was that sufficient, council, to adopt
bring
both?
Yeah, and we'll bring the ordinance back for a second reading at your next meeting.
Okay, so that was adopting both the resolution and the ordinance.
Resolution and
That was sufficient.
introducing the ordinance.
Okay, okay. We're fine, go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
F, review proposals for lease of property at 1361 Highway 33 and make a recommendation regarding further pursuit of the lease.
Mayor and council, you had asked that I bring this item back to you after 45 days. I did talk to approximately, there were 5 different people that I spoke to that were interested in this. I prepared the attached request for proposals for your information that I gave to these people. Of the 5, unfortunately, only 1 returned the proposal. At this time, staff is recommending against considering this lease at this time. We have some concerns whether or not this would be the appropriate business that we want running right in our downtown area, and whether aesthetically it would work for what we want. With that said, staff is asking council if you want us to continue to try and market that property, use additional methods to try to find someone to move in there and see what we can come up with. But at this time, we still have not found someone suitable that we feel would work in that building.
Cleve, initially we had talked about a 1-year lease, and realistically it could be, 2 or 3 years until we start on the plaza project. Do we want to take it back to the plaza committee and see if they would like to agree with a 2-year or 3-year lease?
Well, that's up to the council. I don't think we necessarily need to take it back to the plaza committee. The council can make that decision that you want to go ahead and offer a 3-year lease, and then that would be the understanding that no work could go on where that building is. If we did start on some of the plaza work, we couldn't do anything there until at least that 3-year lease was up.
I'd just like for them to be aware of it, so
Cleve,
Sure,
we don't
and we can note that.
do a
yes.
3-year lease and they say, well, we might be able to do it in 2 years. Just
Sure.
consult with them.
Cleve, on the in your staff report here, it says that 5 people expressed interest in, however, this one proposal was the only one that came back.
Yes.
Did you speak in any general type of terms with any of them regarding the 1-year lease, whether or not that was a factor?
I know with one of them that it was. With that one, I'm not sure that even a 3-year lease would be sufficient. They were talking about trying to turn it into a mini mart type small store there, which would require quite extensive renovations to the property. As you know, it still has the 2 lifts in the drive bays, with the garage doors in the front, which it would all have to be closed up, I'm assuming, in order to turn that into a mini mart. They definitely said that 1 year was not sufficient for them. The others that I talked to, best I got was that they just weren't real serious about it. They were interested, but were not ready to move on it right now.
Right. Well, certainly, as John says here, that we're not going to have the money anytime soon to complete this project, this plaza project. But I think you did make a very good point here in the staff report where you talked about, as far as what uses that we're going to have in the middle of the or on the highway, just in general, because, you know, as we know, when we've talked before, that there are a couple of areas on the highway that are in certain need of repair. And, you know, we obviously need to be very concerned and very sure that we, get the proper use on the highway.
Bob?
Yeah, I have that same concern. You know, we've got this property that's located on Highway 33, and of course, whatever we put there, we want to make sure that it's going to fit in with the surrounding areas and it's not an eyesore. And I've stated that right from the very beginning. So I would continue to pursue and try to find another person that might be interested in leasing that area.
And one thing that I was going to add to that as well was, and we also need to be mindful of the fact that we don't want to go down the same road that we've maybe gone down in the past, where we purchase property for one purpose and then we end up being the landlord of property for multiple years, which completely defeats the purpose. So we also need to be mindful of that as well.
Do we want to say like 2 years or 3 years, or what's everybody's consensus on that?
Well, I would probably talk to those people out there that might be interested and see what it would take to get them to lease
Right.
that, and then
Yeah,
bring it back.
rather than setting a concrete period of time right now, I mean, we could allow for some flexibility with you to say, well, what kind of time frame are you looking at? But understanding that it's not going to be an open-ended, this thing going for 5 or 6 years. But we certainly will allow you the flexibility to do that.
Okay.
So say 3 years and go from there.
Okay.
We don't need a vote on that. Okay. Item 10G, reconsider purchase of 11G. I'm sorry. Reconsider purchase of tables and chairs for the Louis J. Newman Memorial Building. Dave, hello.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. I'm Dave Reed, 1541 Kern Street. And first of all, I want to thank the council for re-agendizing this item for further discussion. At the last time it was on the agenda, I believe that it was postponed till the next fiscal year. I agree that we definitely have to watch our finances and everything, but I think we know that next year there's not going to be any money. And if we're going to do it, we should, I think, do it soon. The tables and chairs are in bad shape. I have several people here from the 50 Plus Club that hopefully they will have some comments on this. And if it's at all possible, I'd like to see these tables and chairs purchased, possibly in smaller groups, maybe not all at once. There's thought maybe getting the other service clubs in the area to contribute toward this, to defer some of the cost. And I just would appreciate your reconsidering this. Is there anyone from the 50 Plus Club who'd like to say anything here? Or no comments? Huh?
Anybody like to comment?
Okay. Well, anyway, thank you for showing up.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you,
Question, this is a budgeted item, correct?
It is included in our budget this year, yes.
And for $15,000 or $14,685.58, is that correct?
The amount that is in the budget is $15,000.
Okay.
And I believe, Margaret, is this using program income funds? No. This is just general fund money? Okay.
Charles?
Well, like we said a few weeks ago, that we know what the budget situation's going to be like. We just had a proposal at our last council meeting regarding the museum and what kind of poor shape that's in. And we said at that time as well that we were going to bring that back during the budget process to see what type of repairs we were going to do. Obviously these tables and chairs, I don't think there's anybody here that that thinks we don't need them, and that the other, what we have is in poor shape. But I would certainly, Dave, if there's the different service organizations and the different service groups. I know we had the folks from the Seroptimus that recently went in there and did some work, and they had expressed interest in coming back to do even more work with the tiles, with the ceiling there. And before we spend 15,000, or if we do it in phases, I'd like to see us work with whichever service organizations that we can to do it that way before, because it's out of the general fund. And I mean, I'd like to see us work with them first, immediately, and maybe go from there. But I mean, I'm not here to say that we're not willing to participate in some way, and it's certainly in the budget, and we certainly are not opposed to helping. But we would also like to see if we can maybe help in a partnership with some of these other groups to maybe offset some of the costs.
I know I had mentioned before about buying part of them now, to bring the hall up to capacity. Did we ever take a count and see how many we would need to bring it up to capacity? Let's say if somebody wanted to rent the hall for 225 people, obviously we don't have enough table and chairs.
Well, there's 150 chairs, and the capacity is 225.
But how many, I wonder, but those aren't enough chairs to go around these 31 tables, are they? Or are they, or we're not sure about that part?
You probably fit 6 chairs around the table. So yeah, there's probably not enough
There's
chairs.
not enough chairs to, even right now, to go around these 31
31
tables.
tables, correct.
How, just as a quick question here, how many folks are in the 50 plus club? Because I know they meet regularly. How many
do we have? 140.
How many?
140.
140. Okay.
How many regularly show up at a meeting, more or less?
We had 63 last Friday.
63. Is that a pretty consistent figure,
Yeah,
ma'am?
just 60, I think.
About 60.
Minimum.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Again, if we could work with other service organizations, I'm certain, I don't feel uncomfortable, if we assist or put in a portion, and even if we phase this in. I mean, if we don't buy everything at once, if we could, if we could purchase some of them.
I think maybe we should go ahead and get enough tables and chairs for, say, 60 people, and then we should have enough for what we need right now, and to bring the hall up to capacity. That would probably take care of it.
Mhm.
What do you think, Bob?
You mean, are you saying enough new tables and chairs to serve about 60
To serve
or
about
65
60,
people?
and then hopefully maybe that'll bring us up to capacity. If somebody wanted to rent the hall for, we have to go there and take another count, but
Mhm.
get enough to bring it up to capacity where if somebody wanted to rent the hall for 225 people, we'd have enough tables and chairs.
Because you say here on the staff report that there's presently only 31 tables and 150 chairs, and you said there's 6 people that you could seat at each one of those tables?
I believe that's about right, as you said,
So-
6, 3 on each
So we're
side.
looking
Depending on how
at
they're
about-
set up, I guess.
So we're
But
looking at
the
about
tables you're purchasing, or the tables that are?
The existing tables.
Existing ones.
Existing tables, there's probably 12 to a table,
Oh,
wouldn't you?
No, no, no.
6 to a table?
Oh, okay, there are 2 tables.
So we're probably
Okay,
about,
okay.
let's see, we're about 50 under capacity at this point.
Well, I think John's saying 10 tables and 60 chairs. That's what he read.
Yeah,
Bring
that-
it up to,
Yeah.
and that would
There-
bring us up to
there's also-
capacity.
Perhaps, what I might suggest is if we could look at possibly saying, maybe we put it out there that the city is willing to contribute half of the amount to purchase these tables and chairs. That would allow us to purchase half of them, which would be about 75 chairs and 12 tables at this time, which would get us up close to our capacity. But then put a challenge out to the service clubs to try and match that amount and bring in, similar to what Councilmember Marquez is referring to,
Mhm.
just as
Mhm.
one suggestion.
I would concur with that. The only thing I would say that we would purchase at least half at this time And if for some reason the organizations weren't able to raise additional funds that we included in our budget next year to actually get the balance of whatever items we don't have.
There was one other thing in here that was your chair racks at $137 and something a piece. There were 4 of those. It looks like, looking at the picture, that there's probably 20 chairs stacked up on that or better. And that's, I don't think you're going to find people that will be able to put those up there. What we do at the theater, we have the similar chairs, and we stack them about 8 or 10 high and put a 2-wheel dolly on them, tip them back, and just walk them anywhere we want to. So I don't really think that those
Instead of the carts, it'd be
racks would
harder
be
to-
necessary. Yeah.
Harder to unload and unload.
But I do want to emphasize, though, and I want to make the point that if we purchase X amount, that I certainly want to make sure that we've got the service clubs and the organizations on board, because I don't want to see us go down a road where we purchase half of them and everybody says, well, we've got half of them, and it kind of gets dropped, and then it comes back to us at a later date and we need the other half. So, I mean, I do definitely want to emphasize, though, that we want to get the organizations involved in helping out with this process, because, it's, everybody uses the L.J. Newman building, and it's important that people all participate.
Just want to mention quickly on, Mr. Reed mentioned on the chair racks. I have used these chair racks before in the previous city I was in, and they do work up to 30 chairs. You can easily stack up to the 30 chairs on them. Yeah, they come to about my height, and they, you can get them up there. They're a lightweight chair, and they are very handy for keeping these organized, keeping them in place, putting them away when you need to. They don't take a lot of room when they're stacked up like that. And I, not to disagree with you, Dave, but I have seen them work, and they do work very well. Yeah.
I was thinking it would be a savings of
Sure. Yeah, I understand.
Can I have some direction on this?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we purchase half of the chairs and half of the tables at this time, and if we can put in that motion a challenge to those trade organizations that might be interested in helping us with the balance of the chairs and tables.
And the racks too, Bob.
And the racks, yeah, and the racks.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Item 11H, appoint city council member to serve as city representative on the local solid waste task force. This is just kind of a appointment that got misplaced when we did our appointments. If nobody cares, I will
I think Tim
Take
said
care of this.
something about being interested in it.
should we put them on there? Oh,
No,
I
I
know.
guess Tom's saying it's in the afternoon.
that's why I'm volunteering myself, because I'm probably the only one that could go at 4 o'clock, right?
You got it.
Is that okay with you? Since
Absolutely.
sometimes people
Absolutely.
call me solid waste anyway, so I figure I might as well just go to it. And there is a meeting this Thursday, so I'll give you a report.
Okay, so,
Do we need a vote on that? Okay, can I have some direction?
yes, I make the motion that John Fantasia be appointed to member to serve as a city representative on the local solid waste task force.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Item 11I, review correspondence from Precision Inspection regarding remaining items on downtown streetscape project and direct staff as to how to proceed.
Mayor and Council, you have a report here regarding approximately 4 items that are remaining still on the streetscape that we are trying to get finished up. And just quickly to report, you have a letter here from Ray Little with Precision Inspection, which addressed the items, that information that he got back from the contractor. Item number 1, I'll just briefly address these, the street light bulbs. We still have a concern that the bulbs which were used are not good, that they are defective. They are burning out prematurely. We're trying to verify that information. We've heard rumors that perhaps we were given a bad batch, or this type of bulb was a bad one. But as you know, some of these have been burning out, and I think there's maybe one or two on Merced Street right now, where we've had bulbs in our old lights for years and years, and still not burning out, and yet these are burning out, some of them in a year or less. So we're trying still trying to verify that one. I don't have a specific recommendation on that one, because we need to still do some more research and try and verify that if we were given defective materials, we ought to be able to get those replaced. Next item, number 2, that I've addressed here is with the material that is placed over the letters that is peeling off. In discussion with our Public Works Director, Ernie Garza, he has stated that the material that was put in to fill the cracks is doing its job and has secured the intersections to where there is not a danger of them. It appears to that they are going to break up, as was our concern, how the letters were breaking up before, and that has taken care of that problem. However, with that material, when they mixed it, they put a covering over the top of the letters, which they mixed sand with, and that was a method that was mentioned that could be used with the material. However, we're not sure if they used too much sand or what they did, but for some reason it did not adhere to the concrete the way it is supposed to, and it's peeling off. We have asked the contractor to remove that, whether or not we replace it again, or if we can get it removed in a way that it looks okay on the letters, looks good on the letters. We would like to have that done. Right now he is refusing, saying that he feels he has done all that was necessary to be done on the letters. Item 3 is an item where a window at the shop known as Pins and Needles downtown on Fresno Street, throughout, ever since the concrete was poured, the owners of the business were stating that the hardener, which they sprayed on the concrete at that location, had somehow got splattered onto the windows. To my knowledge, there was no denying of that's what it was, up until just recently. The contractor has stated that they checked with the manufacturer of that substance, and the manufacturer said that it wouldn't harm windows, so it's not that's on the windows. The owner is saying, well, it happened during the construction, and therefore it should be their responsibility. I still feel that we should hold the contractor responsible to take care of that issue, and see how that can be resolved. There are still a couple of remaining items that were not addressed in this memo from Precision Inspection. One is the repainting of the bike racks, which were done improperly. The contractor, I spoke to him on the phone last week, and he stated that would be completed by the end of the month. He had one contractor come in, offer to do it, and he was trying to get one more bid on it to have it done, but he has stated that will be done, and that shouldn't be an issue. The other item is the issue with some of the planter pots are still leaking, and there are a couple of them that have patch jobs from when they installed the water to the planters, concrete patches underneath that were not finished in the way that they should have been, and we have asked them to go back and finish those. Those 2 items were not addressed, and I have not got an answer back from the contractor on those, but he did initially state that was the subcontractor's responsibility and that those things should be done. So I think that the planter pots, hopefully we can get those done. The bike racks will definitely be done. The street light bulbs I would like to pursue further, and items 2 and 3 that are on the second page of my staff report, the peeling material on the letters and the substance sprayed on the windows, I would like to pursue further with the contractor and try to force them to do it, if necessary, even having our city attorney involved with, if necessary, calling on the warranty bond, which we have, to recover our costs in repairing those items.
My opinion is, I mean, he's had good weather here now for what, 6 weeks to complete these things. So I think it's time that we've held up our end of the bargain. I think it's time that we have our lawyer send a letter and we want these things done, or we will pursue further methods.
Yeah, the thing about it is we've discussed this thing at seems to no end on this project. The bottom line is that we spent a lot of money on this project. We should get a completed product that is first rate. I mean, we shouldn't accept anything less. I mean, we should not tolerate that. And if, need be, like John said, if we need to have our legal counsel go forward and express our concerns further about getting this done, then we need to do that. But, these are, I mean, it says 3 items here, but those are some pretty big, those are some pretty big ones. And, those bulbs, the letters and all that stuff, it's, it's not like it's some minor little thing. It's, something we need to resolve, so.
Bob?
Yeah, I just wonder, have we put any numbers to this, Cleve, as far as what these items would cost to?
I don't think they're big items. If all we're asking them to is on the lettering is the one that has the potential to be the most costly. But I believe it can be finished off in a way now that can be acceptable, can look good, can be cleaned up if the contractor will come out and make that effort. But that's the question. He has stated, as you can see in the attached letter, that he's done all that he's going to do on the letter. So it may take more than that. We may have to pursue it, do it ourselves, and use the warranty bond to collect our money to fix it.
And like John was saying, the weather's been perfect, so it's
Sure.
not really like there was any excuse that they, it's raining or something like that. They just need to come out here and make it right.
I would think that maybe we send them a letter and we want all these things completed by the end of the month. Bob?
Yeah, I would concur. The one I'm concerned about is the one that the peeling.
Right.
That's the one that's going to be probably the most costly. The others are not. They're items that need to be taken care of, but that's the one that is kind of a cost that you really don't know until you get into that and what it's going to cost.
Sure.
To perform that type of work. So, yeah, I would recommend that we proceed with a letter from the attorney to outline what we want resolved, and if it's not done in a timely way, then we should proceed with our warranty bond to fix the problems.
Everybody concur with that, Charles?
Yes.
Do we need a...
Have our direction.
Okay. Moving on, item 12, items from the city manager.
Mayor and council, if I could please, there are some gentlemen here tonight hadn't been to our meeting before and had some issues they wanted to address under public comments. I'd like to suggest to the council it's at your direction that you would accept some comments from the public at this time.
Sure, no problem. Please step up to the podium if you'd like.
You have somebody to come out and interpret?
Charles, can you
My
help?
Spanish isn't the greatest, I'll be honest with you. It's not.
Hi, this is my first city council meeting. My name's Hector Batista, 1311 Barrington Avenue. My reason for being here is because I'm a truck driver and an owner of a truck, and I park my truck on M Street. I used to about a couple weeks ago until an officer cited every single truck on there, not cited but red tag, that we couldn't park there anymore. So I'm here to ask the council to review where we can park our trucks without being a problem. As you know, I park my truck on M Street, and I see no reason why we cannot park our trucks on M Street, because it doesn't bother nobody. And now we move our truck somewhere else where it's really a safety hazard because of the cars that come out of the PG&E Center. It's hard for them to see when they come out over there. So I would like to ask the council to reconsider and review us parking our trucks on M Street.
I wasn't aware that we were doing something. Chief Brady, can you explain? I know they've been parking there for a long time.
Yes, I've been parking there for 5 years, and just
I think this is about
recently,
the third time that this issue's come back.
And it was
before us.
come up before.
and recently, all of a sudden I just got red tag for it. I mean, we don't bother nobody.
Yeah, I think it's important that the truckers that live in this area have some place to park their trucks.
Yes, and it's a very quiet place, and it's an industrial area, I believe it is. And I think we can park our trucks there, you know. We don't bother nobody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chief, did we have some complaints or something?
I'd have to go back and find out if we had complaints over that area. We have had some in the past, because there is some residential on M Street there with the trailer park.
On the east side of
on the east
certain
side of
area
the
there,
roadway.
yeah.
But really, the problem that we have with M Street is that basically it's being able to get into that portion of M Street between Driscoll and Merced. The problem we have is when our intersection here at Kern was developed, it wasn't wide enough, and that's one of the reasons we didn't make that a truck route to begin with, is because of the way that intersection was.
The way the turning lane and everything.
That's right.
was
It's just
there,
too narrow for that to happen, and so without it being a truck route, basically the way our ordinance reads is it has to be on a truck route for the trucks to be able to park. Merced Street is. We also have a lot of housing on there. We went through this I think a number of times. In front of PG&E is about the only access that we really have. That's a
thorough
short
truck
stretch of
route.
road on the one side. On the other side we have housing, and so truck parking is getting to be an issue. I had spoke with a few of them this week, and I didn't have really a good answer for them, other than the fact that we are looking at developing M Street between there and Inyo, which are 2 truck routes, and our industrial area that we have, which is wide streets, for that kind of parking that we would have. We are looking at improvements on, I believe, Stanislaus and M Street between that part, and so in the future that would be great. But currently, the only we have right now is our industrial park, which has the improvements, but the turnaround on that street would be an issue. So that's where we're looking at this point.
Is there a reason why they all of a sudden got reg tagged now? Was there just too many parking there, or I mean, I've seen them parking there for months and months. I mean, why all of a sudden?
The only thing I can say at this point is that I don't know if we received a complaint and the officer responded to that complaint.
Okay.
So whether
Check-
it was noise,
check into that.
I will check into
Because
that.
I know, like I say before, we have gone through this
For years.
a bunch of times. We've gone through the truck routes, we've gone through the truck parking, and we never seem to ever have a good solution.
Oh.
And it seems like every few years this issue comes back, and I certainly don't want to see folks who are trying to make a living, all of a sudden coming in there and they've got tickets, I would hope this time that maybe we could get it right as far as a clear policy where folks can park, where they can't, and maybe we can do something to help accommodate the situation, because this is going to continue to come back again. I mean, you'll be back in a couple of years and discussing this issue again.
We are very limited, and I've actually developed a map and a brochure regarding truck parking, because it is kind of limited as to where they can legally park per our ordinance. And one of the things I would like to point out too is there wasn't tickets issued on Merced Street. From what I understand, he's got a warning sticker is what it looks like at this point. So whatever the problem was, we were trying to resolve it without issuing tickets for that. I know one ticket was issued, but that was actually on Merced Street for a violation of another ordinance for being too close to the corner. So I'd have to look into research and see if we had any actual tickets.
And we'll be able to clarify that, because I mean, the most important thing at this point, until we could establish what a good policy is making sure that all the officers are all on the same page as far as, they all knowing what the policy is, and, that way we don't have 50, 60 tickets sent out, and, I don't want to have us put in a position to where we're scrambling to come up with a policy, like we've done in the past. I mean, there's all of a sudden we didn't hear anything. All of a sudden we had a lot of people who had a lot of complaints, and we were scrambling to make a policy that maybe wasn't the greatest. And, at least maybe if we could have a little bit of time to be thorough and establish something. The maps obviously could start looking at the different areas that we have, and if we could be a little more thorough on this so we don't have to keep coming back with this issue.
Mike, the area that we're talking about, how is that on the map right now?
It's not considered a truck route, and it's because basically that section of M Street there between Driscoll and Merced. We do have housing as a concern on that, and I don't know if that's what generated the complaints, but it was basically how you get to that street was the concern.
Because of the wide turn.
That's correct.
That's what was the issue that when
Okay.
we discussed
Yes.
this last time.
Right.
Off of Kern coming in on a very wide turn, it was kind of difficult to make that turn.
Right. So that's what we're looking at this point. We don't want to. We can't develop because it's the way it's configured. We can't actually make it a truck route, but because you can't get to it from both sides. You can only get to it from the Merced side. So.
Well, we have to do something for the truckers. We can't continue to push them to places where they can't find a place to park. We need something that's defined, and then they know where they can park their trucks and feel they're not going to get a ticket. I mean, and it's quite obvious that the reason they're parking there because there's no other places to park.
It is very limited.
And so I think that those things have to be taken into consideration. So I would like to see the staff take a look at this problem and find out how many spots we do have in this town where truckers can actually park.
Well, I've already outlined that.
We have that.
Well-
We'll bring it back at the next meeting.
I know, but
and take a
it's
look at-
probably not sufficient. I
Right.
mean, that's the problem.
Well,
You-
I'm also limited by the ordinances that we have in place.
Yeah. Well, I think those are the kind of things we have to look at.
Sure.
Because
What we can do, Councilmember Martina, is I'll have my chief work with our new community development director and looking at those ordinances, how they restrict truck parking. And we'll come back with some options. The thing you need to realize is that we need to, it's controlled, as Chief Brady has mentioned, by the desire to not have trucks traveling through the residential areas. And that's where we run into the problem with getting them onto Driscoll and making those turns. And plus, normally those streets, when they are developed in order to handle truck traffic. There's a different layers of paving and road base, et cetera, that are put down to be able to handle the weight of truck traffic. So you have to look at all of those issues together. Otherwise, you put trucks on roads that aren't designed for the truck traffic, and you run into problems of maintenance and et cetera. But
One thing though, and I haven't looked at that ordinance in a long time, but is there a distinction though that we draw? Because I'm assuming that the folks that are here tonight, and I know the folks that were here in the past, were people that lived here, that parked and either walked home or they were picked up or whatever to get home. Is there in the ordinance a way to draw, can we draw a distinction? Like, for example, because I don't want to have us set up an area where there's a bunch of parking areas, and then pretty soon the folks that live here aren't able to because they're filled up. Perhaps by issuing a permit, if you're, having your license or whatever from here locally and doing it that way. I mean, it seems like we would give preference to the people that are
Local residents,
right.
sure.
If we could maybe draw that distinction via permit or something, it seems like that would allow them more access.
yeah, we can take a look at that, but I think the only way we could do that is if we set up an actual truck parking lot where we had that, we could monitor that. Otherwise, if it's just on the public right-of-way,
Right.
I don't think we would be able to restrict
Can't really
that to resident-only
restrict.
parking. That'd be difficult to do.
I would assume everybody that's here tonight is a local, live in Newman?
Yeah, I do,
Yeah.
Yeah, I live in Newman.
Okay. Yeah, I think, can we bring this back at the
Sure.
next meeting? And I'd be curious, Chief, if there was a complaint, if somebody complained there on the east side of, on M Street. If they're complaining, well, then that's a whole nother situation that we have to look at also, so. If we can,
And
if we can
it'd
get
be easy enough to
some facts
research.
and.
And also to add to that, like John's saying, but also look into this process with possibly having a permit or, just something that it might help the process.
I'm sure we could probably contact the League of California Cities and see if there's somebody else that's doing something like that.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for attending the meeting.
Thank you.
Item 12,
We're concerned about you.
items from the city manager.
Can I say one more thing?
If-
If you think we just a few here because we're not interested to be here, the rest of it on the road, far away from home,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard for us. See, Javier and me, we still gotta go drive to Riverside right now. We're here because we wanna hear something that you guys take care of us. Because I see that every time they are pushing to the truckers away out, and make a change, and it hurt us. That been happening to me a few times, like the sheriff said, we come back to the same thing. Is it possible to make a meeting for the truckers on Saturdays? That way everybody here, because we only hear about things, but I believe it's twice as much or more.
I think let us come back with a staff report for the next meeting, and then, if one representative or two can be at the next meeting, which will be the 25th, same time, and we'll let you know, and if then we need to have like a public forum or something or meeting, we can do that too.
I just like to know that, we're not here because we don't want it, or we're not interested because it's a problem for us to.
Sure. No, we appreciate your concerns.
And one thing we can do, like the mayor was saying, is that we'll make sure it's very important that we get all your names down. That way, we know how to contact you. And we could follow up. I mean, we're certainly going to be flexible with you as far as, however we need to be. And we'll be flexible with you. And like the mayor was saying, we need to come back first and have a report back, and then we'll follow back up with all of you all. Okay.
We'll make sure that we're getting their names and addresses of all of them, and then we can let them know about the meeting. We understand if they not all have been here, we can see who is here tonight, and you can address the concerns.
That sounds good. We'll send out a notice for the meeting, and we'll have our staff report at the meeting. Thank you.
I don't really have anything extra to add tonight. I did a report to you on Friday, and unless any of you have questions about that report, I don't believe I have anything else extra to add tonight.
No, I don't have anything tonight. Thank you.
Bob?
I have no comments tonight.
The only comment I have would be that Ernie and Doug took the backhoe out to the industrial area today, and they dug a hole 8 foot deep, and there was no water. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. If there's fish in there or not, but that's all I have. We have a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.